It's all the same thing. But either way, we are here recording another beautiful episode of the Grunge Bible podcast on a Friday night. We have our producer in-house, Drew McFadyen, and obviously Chris Salona, Ethan Shalloway here. And yeah, man, I love these Friday episodes because I know when we're doing a Friday episode, it's for us. And tonight's for us. We say that every so often, so I'm pretty excited. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
That's not what you told me earlier.
I have to lie for the audience. No, I'm all right. I'm towing the line.
I'm fine.
I am fine. It's all fine. I'm a little tired, but Ethan, you're right. I almost mildly was looking forward to doing this, so this is good that we're doing it, and I'm happy to be doing it with you two individuals.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not
like I hear you guys enough. Here we are.
Here we are again. Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it was a solid week. It was a light day of work, so I was able to get my training done early, come back and kind of rest a little bit. I didn't do much leading up to this, just ate right before it. So I'm pretty excited.
Very necessary.
Nice. Got some Coors Banquet. I guess shout out to those guys. Since no one will sponsor us, we just got to have a hodgepodge of
Golden Colorado.
Beers. Yeah, just random stuff. So this episode we got a Q&A set up. So we have a bunch of great questions or not so great from the people that sent in, and then we have some of our own. So we're just gonna kind of ping pong back and forth and have some fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think we have to rate the questions honestly too.
I think we do, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, Drew.
Because some of them are bad. Most of them.
I mean, we'll get into it later. We'll get into it later.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
I like it. But first of all, we do have to thank some people. So, Drew, you want to go ahead and do this whole spiel? Because you've heard it enough, right? You want to thank the patrons for us this time?
Yeah, you still read off of it. No, I don't know any of the patrons. I don't memorize them.
No, I know. I'm just
What's
kidding.
the producer supposed to be doing anyways? We would love to thank everybody out there who's supporting us on Patreon. As you may know, all of your hard-earned dollars do not go into Ethan's pockets or into my pockets. They go into Drew McFadyen's pockets because he is the producer and he makes all of this happen. And as we've said, he needs a raise.
Yearly review.
Yesterday.
Yearly review. Right?
Yeah, this is your performance review, Drew.
This is a live performance review.
We didn't tell you this, but this is why you're here. This is why we flaked on you last Friday, but we're here now. And we would like to thank the following people of our top tier on Patreon for helping to give Drew the money that he so dutifully earns every single week producing us. And that list as it stands today on Friday, October the 28th is Faith Bittner, Chris LSMS, Sonny Mashburn, Lauren Irene, Millie Release, Nikki Six, Alexis Shannon, Marianne, Jade Mercado, Doug Endy, Black Hole Sean, Captain Hightop, Fuck Soup, Rachel Corning, Darian Riddle, Alex Long, Jamie Lynn, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, our number one fan from Australia, Wayne Staley, Carleen Salona, Seattle 4 fanboy from New Jersey, Brother Nature, Fresh Tendonitis, Kitty Cooper, Blue Owl, Kara K, I Hate Your Mom, Shoe the Shoeless, and Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce. So thank you all. I guess Drew should be thanking you all, not us.
I wasn't even asking Drew to read the names off. I just wanted to thank. I just wanted him to thank the patrons because they're the one that pay. They're the people that pay you. I just wanted you to be like, hey, thanks for the support, guys, and the reviews and whatever. And instead, he said, nah.
I was going to say, with the list that long and you still can't afford to pay me more?
Oh my goodness. It sounds like some people need to raise their membership dues.
Yeah, exactly. We need renewing of members and all that. And I was so wanted to roast you, Drew, when he was talking about I just wanted to roast you right before that really bad, but I held off.
It's not like you don't do enough of that regularly anyways.
Not enough.
I love getting roasted.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's get into some questions. I think it's time.
Yeah, let's do it. Ethan, do you have the question list handy as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great.
And I have my own questions too.
Oh, we have from the pen of Ethan Shalloway. Well, Ethan, how about you start us off here? I want to see where you decide to take us. Yeah.
Well, this is actually a question not related to music.
Great.
Actually, no. We'll go with you. So obviously, we've had some people on some interviews, and I just want to ask if we could have anybody on the Grunge Bible podcast to interview and to have a conversation with right now. So obviously, passed away people don't count.
Okay.
Obviously,
alive people only. Yeah.
So if you guys could book anybody for the show, who would it be?
Anybody.
I mean, to make the show, to elevate the show. Yeah.
I would like to select Drew McFadyen.
We got him.
We did it. This is it. Now we can end the show. That's actually
that's a good question.
Yeah, Ethan, do you have any that come to mind? Considering that you,
I gotta go first.
The question. Yeah, while we're percolating here, there's some the gears are shifting. It's been a long week.
Yeah, Simon Cowell would be really cool.
Simon Cowell would be cool.
That'd be a good talk.
Why do you say that? Because he is, obviously he's like a voice of opinion that people obviously really want to hear. Like he's got that.
You know how like you start books sometimes, but then you don't necessarily finish them. I started
reading or writing.
Reading.
Yeah, reading.
I started reading his biography, I think, a long time ago, and it just was an interesting story. I couldn't repeat it necessarily, beat for beat, but started working at it was similar to what I did. Started working in the industry for free, and just Simon Cowell, right? But I think there are certain people in certain industries where they just have a knack for just being successful, and I don't think it's by accident, Like he, really famous off of American Idol, Britain's Got Talent. I think he kind of co-founded that. Discover, One Direction, all these like there's no formula to why it's successful, but for some reason, like a Dave Grohl, it's like why is everything that he touches gold? I don't know.
Right. Almost to the point that it looks like it's easy because everything that they do, they just kind of hit out of the park. When,
I think just gleaning something from a brain like that would be cool.
That's a good answer. I didn't think. Well, yeah, that's a good answer. I kind of figured you would kind of go outside of music a little bit. I mean, he's still involved in the industry, obviously. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's people that wear just like. I mean, Cafaro is one of those people that only wears straight black shirt. Simon Cowell does it. Gordon Ramsay, just black shirt. That's all they wear. Those guys mean business.
Absolutely.
Chris, how about you? You got anything on the top of your head?
Yeah, I do. I would select in music. I would select Bruce Springsteen. I love that man. I think
the boss.
Yeah, the boss. He's the boss for a reason. I value his music. It's given a lot to me personally. Everything that he's done, I think, is incredible, and I think he has a really cool perspective. And he certainly seems to have acquired a lot of wisdom and perspective, over the years. And I like any sort of conversation or interview that he's done. I always love listening to him. It seems like, he's really, really well thought out and measured in the way that he thinks, and he has a good thought processes and everything. And I think anybody that brings perspective like that to the table, I think you can learn a lot from by having conversations with them. And I mean, I idolize him as a musician. I mean, he's one of my all-time favorites too. So it's kind of a multifaceted reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he have a movie coming out?
So
did I hear that somewhere?
He may. He released a movie that accompanied his Western Stars album a couple years ago, but then they also turned Blinded by the Light, I think, into a into a movie / like musical type thing like a few years ago. I didn't see that one though. He may though. I don't know. I gotta catch up on my boss.
What's your answer, E?
Yeah, I kind of would. I like both your answers, obviously. I think I would go for a little wow factor. I feel like John Mayer would be really good.
I was almost going to say John Mayer.
Yeah. I just think that, Bruce is still current, I guess. And John's getting old too, but I don't think that he's going to be done making music after he's done with the Dead. No,
he'll be like a Bob Weir type. He'll always be in the arena till he dies.
Yeah, I think that he would be really interesting. I mean, he's worked with a lot of people, and he has a lot of people's respect. So he's probably, all three of these guys have brushed shoulders with everybody. But
totally,
yeah. I mean, he would just be. He's just one of the guys I just think is really interesting, and I don't know. Yeah. Who knows how the conversation could go? So. Yeah.
Well, my old mentor Tim Sonnefeld met him. Didn't get to work with him, but just it was like a Capitol or Sunset Studios, one of those. Just like in the lounge area, just like Tim's sitting there, like drinking a coffee or whatever, and John Mayer just walks in, sits down, and they just like shoot the shit for a little bit. They're just like, "So you like Strats?"
As a matter of fact, I do. That's awesome.
Introduce yourself, like you are.
Yeah, he said he's a really really cool guy, really down to earth.
Yeah, he's really cool, and he's I think professionally and personally he's experienced a lot too. And I mean, his first couple of albums were a big deal, and then he kind of just became like the local asshole for a while, and everybody's opinion of him kind of plummeted because of I think a lot of the things that he said and did. But it seems like he's kind of matured a lot and is coming at it, music and just life through like a different perspective. I think he referred to himself once as a recovering ego addict, which I thought was really funny and really, I think, nuanced and insightful when you look at yourself, because I think anybody in that arena who's had that much success, especially that young, I think ego, it's impossible to not let that elevate you a little bit. So it's always interesting to see how people manage that and how that impacts them. And I think he has a lot of perspective on that because it happened to him.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool videos on YouTube of him, little snippets that I like. You guys ever watch Talking Watches?
Oh, I think I saw that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's like collects watches.
Yes.
It's this guy who hosts this. They have a show for everything on, especially on YouTube, and it's all about people who have a passion for collecting watches and going into like the history of them, and just like, and John Mayer is on 2 episodes, and he brings his like watch collection, and I like watches. My father likes watches, so I've watched them, but like they really like know their stuff. Like I don't know anything really about watch. I just have a few. Yeah. But that's really cool. And then another cool one to check out of him is he did on Barbara Streisand's, like one of her most recent records. She did a documentary, and there's a little bit of it on YouTube, and he sings and plays on one. And there's just like this footage of him in the studio, and they're like, I think like, can you just make it a little bit like it should lead up a little bit different or whatever? And he's just like, oh, okay, go ahead. And it just virtuoso, just like, and everybody's just like, fuck yeah, that's exactly what it had to be, right? Oh, just so cool. Yeah. And he's just like it? Like, okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay, rating the question, that was a good question.
That was so. What do we want the scale to be? 1 to 5, like 5 stars?
Should we make it
1 to 100?
That's too much. I think
percentage based.
Let's do pitchfork style, 1 to 10.
Fuck Pitchfork,
because we love Pitchfork. Yeah, that was like an 8.6, I think. 8.6.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
No.
Well, okay. Well, then
Drew,
no,
that's his opinion,
fine.
man.
It's fine though, Drew, because then you give it like a 6.2, and then you just average it out. We'll knock it down into the sevens. It'll be
so
great.
Now, Drew, you actually have all the power. Whatever you think it should be,
give it
just
a 2.
low ball, and then you get exactly what you want.
Yep. See, so there's a method to all of this.
That's funny.
Drew's smart.
That's funny. What's next?
I have a question. Oh yeah, we need the rating before I ask this question.
Rating. Like Sunny.
7-2. That was good. That was
Okay.
right.
There you go. 7-2. All right, next question here. This comes from the one and only Chris Cafaro, and he asks, "Who is your favorite? Excuse me. Who is your favorite? Who is your favorite photographer?" And that's easy. It's either Charles Peterson or Danny Clinch.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. It's Chris Cafaro for me. Absolutely. I believe that, and I'm also obligated to say that at this point.
I think that Cafaro is the man. I mean,
Yeah,
and
he's
his
fucking cool.
photos, like the stuff he was. I don't know. I'd like to see if you had a number on the amount of people. I don't want to say famous people, but like the people that I mean, it's such a wide variety, and
It's got to be in the
goes,
thousands.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's other photographers that have taken such a variety as he has.
He's a hustler,
Yeah, he's a hustler, and he's so damn nice, and he's been great to us. Drew, I don't know. He hooked Adam up with a nice Gwen Stefani print.
Dude, I heard.
Yeah, because obviously Adam did us real solid by letting us stay because you were moving around and whatnot, and Chris was like, no problem. Like, tell him to come over and he can pick whichever one he wants. I was like, that's unreal.
Dope.
Yeah. So he's a really solid dude too. On top of his, photographs are great. He's got a good, unique style.
I certainly agree.
I'm not privy enough in photography to.
I agree too. I don't have like a who's who in my head.
Right.
I was gonna say, I'm probably my favorite photographer.
There you go.
Wow. That's good. That's a solid question.
Yeah, that was a great question.
I'd rate the question higher than the answers. I mean,
yeah.
No, if we were cultured.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's a good
right now.
It's a good question. But I guess
That's a
it would be
question that doesn't get asked enough, I feel.
Well, I mean, but people ask what your favorite band is, so it's kind of like
that's what I'm saying.
It's the same
I'm
thing.
saying, yeah, we should ask
in a
that
different
question.
genre.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who's your favorite photographer? It's a good question.
All right.
Asked by
Let's see.
Good photographer, great photographer.
There's some really short bad. What are your thoughts on Silverchair? Let's go there.
Love Silverchair. Can you believe that they were only 15 years old?
How young they were, dude. They were.
How young. No, but I mean...
Silverchair rips.
Silverchair rips. Daniel Johns is one of the cooler
dude.
individuals that we've gotten to become acquainted with through the page. Looking forward some point in the future to have him on the podcast. That's... Can we say in the works?
Yeah, dude, say it.
Yeah, it's in the works, man.
It's been in the works for a while. So,
yeah, Daniel Johns is awesome. We love that guy, so we like Silverchair.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. Yeah, I feel comfortable speaking for everybody else with that.
Yeah, they're good
for sure. Even though
we don't agree. They're good. They should be talked about. They could be talked about more. They're really solid.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. Would you sell Grunge Bible to Satan for one corn chip? How much is he buying it?
It depends. If it's one of the spicy corn chips, like the ghost pepper corn chip, you know the ones they sell you like one physical chip and it's like spiciest thing in the world. I would do that because then I would just break up the chip and then feed it to my enemies without them knowing. Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. I'm in.
You'd sell it for a chip.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Ethan, I need your consent to do this.
No, you need my consent.
Do we get two chips or one chip? Or how many chips?
Drew's the executor of the Grunge Bible will.
How much how much do you think we could sell this for?
So
like
there was
the Instagram page and the podcast.
I don't know how much it's worth. So it must have been like 4 or 5 years ago. alternativenation.net, which I guess was a big website. They DM'd us and they were like, we would love to buy the page from you. And
what? Really?
Yeah, I mean, we only had like 20,000 followers at the time, so we didn't even entertain it. I don't even know how much they wanted to offer us, but I don't even know what it would be worth. But I mean, I think I would sell it.
That's probably. Do you think that's a sweet spot to buy a page at 20,000?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, because like at this point, I mean, Instagram has changed so much too. We were just talking about it, Chris.
It's not like it used to be.
Like it used to.
No,
man.
we're locked out of the algorithm now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
it's fucked.
What do you mean?
It's bullshit. Like we'll post
Vegas
like,
93.
We'll post the usual suspects. Like back in the day, we built this page on like 6 videos that we would just like share consistently.
If you want follows, you post Unplugged. Yeah. And if you want follows, you post Lollapalooza, like Pink Pop.
And now, like, visibility is a problem, and there's been a big shift to Reels, but not just Reels as just in videos, but like TikTok style Reels of like content with music in the background and captions and the AI voice and everything. And I don't understand. You know, and it's funny because like this is the industry that I work in during the days, but I'm just as confused as the people who don't work in the industry. So I don't know. Yeah, I would totally sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's the right time to get out.
Yeah, maybe. Let's get before the grunge bubble bursts.
Yeah, true. Well, one of my things I brought up, and I was gonna run it by you guys and see, like, should we go?
Do you have an offer?
Oh yeah, I got an offer, guys. That's why I'm leading into it. No, I'd say we need to talk off camera about run over some of the numbers for the Grunge Bible. Should we let everybody know like exactly where we are?
We
almost have 4,000 followers on Spotify. I don't know, you can't see that. On, like,
so we have
which is pretty great.
3,800 podcast subscribers or followers on Spotify. And similar listener base on Apple Podcasts. So we get like 7,500 listens a week.
And like Chris, we looked over, and basically there's less people, more people listen on
Apple Podcasts,
but more streams. Wait, what was it? It was like inversely correlated.
More people listen on Apple Podcasts, but we have more subscribers on Spotify.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. The statistical majority of our listeners apparently are on Apple Podcasts. I think like 55%.
They listen to more. Less people listen to more of the podcast or something like that. Which is kind of
exactly. So it's funny. I don't know why or how, but
well, Drew, I know Chris uses Spotify. I use Apple Podcasts. So, Drew, what do you use to listen to podcasts?
Podcasts, I use Apple Podcasts or YouTube.
Okay.
Pretty equally.
Yeah.
So why Apple over Spotify?
Because I don't have a Spotify subscription.
That'll do it.
Do you have an Apple subscription then?
I have Apple Music. But I think before even Apple Music, I think the Apple Podcast was free.
Yeah.
If you had a Apple.
I mean, I don't have an Apple. Yeah, I have Apple Podcasts, and I don't have a subscription to the music.
Right. Like I think if you just have an Apple device, you get the Apple Podcast. So I just, before Apple Music was a thing, I was using Apple Podcasts and YouTube to listen to podcasts. So
absolutely.
Apple's better sound quality than Spotify too.
I have heard that. That was a good question. I have another one that I think is a really good question. And this question says, have you ever begun listening to a band ironically and then actually started liking them?
It's a good question. I'm going to start with that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably an 8. Let's see. Ironically listening to a band. I feel like sometimes I do that maybe I'll do that with albums, and I'll go into an album and be like, this is going to be a joke. And then
we've done it with songs too. Like Jeremy and Rooster from way back in the day. But
I guess maybe Primus. I mean, Primus could be like
Primus for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's a good. Primus is probably the best example for sure. Yeah.
I would agree because I mean the only other like cannon fodder for this in our sphere would be Creed, but I liked Creed before I learned that you weren't supposed to like Creed, and I still like them. But Ethan, I actually just told you about this. We were on the phone the other day. Specific song that I began listening to, ironically, that I kind of love now. Brother the Cloud from Eddie Vedder. I'll tell you, this afternoon I went to the gym and I stopped by the grocery store on the way home, so I don't have to go tomorrow morning. And got back in the car and just shuffled, and Brother the Cloud came on. I needed it, and that was the moment that I was sold. I needed I needed Brother the Cloud.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? Have there been any bands that like whatever that question was, you start listening to ironically, and then you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good? Like,
no, not.
His taste is too good to do this.
Well, the only time that I've done that is with people that I know.
Okay.
Musicians that I know. Go into it, be like, there's no way this guy's
right. Like, there's no talent coming from this human.
Yeah, and then
that was a really weird way.
There's no talent coming from this.
I don't even know why. Like, sometimes
you do that. You do that, Chris. You stated so black and white that it's like no one's
for anything.
But like, no, like I'll say things and while I'm saying them, and especially as soon as I finish saying them, I'm like, why did you say it like that? There were like 46 other ways to say it that were more effective and less stupid.
Yeah, they can't even fry an egg, dude.
There is zero talent emanating from this object.
But yeah, I'll go into it like, dude, there's no, like, this is gonna be hilarious. You know, this person's trying to do this. But then, you know, I try to operate in the world like bird's eye view, objective, and
totally.
I find myself a few times being like, hey, I see, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Gotta have that.
Several people from high school and college.
Yeah,
I will say that it's tough when you go onto Spotify, and like, I hate the numbers game. When you look and you see views, or you see like followers and stuff,
how many streams, or
and it gets in the way of like how you take it in sometimes. And I do my best to like try not to look at it. Like, if somebody said like, I don't even want to see how many listens they have, because that shouldn't be a dictate if I like it.
Right.
And I thought about that when we were talking, like, there's a lot of like unreleased songs and stuff from bands and artists or people put it up on their Patreon. They have like unreleased stuff, and it could be somebody's favorite song, and like literally a very small group of people could listen to it. And it's so hard to relate to and think about, because it's not like the fact that it's not public, which we expect music to be these days. So sometimes I feel like, you know, it's maybe it's the opposite side. It's like you put yourself in a position where you like don't want to like something for no good reason. So I try my best to not let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, I like. That's a good point for sure.
One of the questions from the Blue Owl.
I was just about to ask this one. I think.
And it's the first question, because he had a few. So not about the Deftones. We can get to that.
No.
Get that. We will
not be discussing the Deftones.
He's a big Deftones guy. He's a big
Deftones.
I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. The album. There's an album anniversary from Deftones today, I think.
No shit. Shout out.
We're not going to talk about it though. But
we shouted out. So
yeah.
But if grunge did not exist, what other subgenre would you guys talk about? And so, if you want to reword that, like, what would be another, like, what
other Bible would we have?
Yeah. What other Bible? What other page would fit this type of conversation, or you know, or like what other space could we occupy? And this is interesting, because we talked about in the beginning. We actually were like, you know, when we first started, we were like, dude, because in the beginning we had a more strict posting policy.
We just
big
posted
four.
Grunge.
Yeah, the big four, the big just the front men, something like that. And we're trying to figure out how to get to some other bands we wanted to post, or like maybe we should do like an alt Bible or a 90s Bible, and like, or a hip hop Bible. And we we're like, maybe we can find people that are just as passionate and they can do the same exact thing that we're doing with 90s hip hop.
And just have all of these Bibles.
Yes, and we're like having the different books. Well, the books of the Bible. Like we're like we could actually have like country Bible, or you could do whatever. But we physically. I mean, I don't have, or emotionally cannot handle another genre.
No, I definitely couldn't. I definitely cannot do this again.
I mean, it would be like if you wipe this clean, right, and you don't have like obviously the fatigue that has set in,
right?
Where would you want to start if it wasn't grunge? I guess.
Well, I mean,
the classic rock is pretty. It's very nostalgic as well, and people jump on that. But like,
yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I think it depends on at what point in my life would I have had to answer that question. Like if this was back in like 2016 when we started this page, I certainly was a lot more not closed-minded, but I just wasn't well read on a lot of music that I really, really enjoy now. So I think back then, if it wasn't grunge rock, it probably would have been classic rock, because that's really the only other area that I knew and I appreciated. But now, I mean,
and people do that right now.
Yes.
People have classic rock stuff. So
people have shit for everything now.
Do they?
Yeah, it's a saturated market now. We got in early, so that's what I was saying. You can either be good or you can be first, and it's a hell of a lot easier to be first.
Speed kills. Yeah.
Speed did kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I listen now. I probably listen to more like indie alternative rock kind of shit more than pretty much anything else at this point. I really love folk, like singer-songwriter stuff. So that's something that I've always appreciated, and I know a decent bit about. But
I think
what do you think?
This answer, I feel like it's tough because I'm not so into the genre that I'm gonna say, but if I was, I would love to be like really a part of the underground punk scene and like be like a real punk guy.
Yeah,
and like
you would have to do that on your own, because I couldn't cut it. I don't think.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying in
another reality, yeah.
Because I think that the underground punk scene, like those followers are really like they're really loyal and they love it, and it's a really good follow base that would be fun to
I agree,
kind of get involved with.
Yeah, because for it to I guess be fulfilling but also successful like this one, I think
the
has
followers
been,
have to be.
It's because of the people and it's because of the community, and I think there's always been a certain lingering fascination about the early 90s and grunge rock.
And I think the grunge, like the followers are, and the people that come out of the fans that come out of the genre are pretty authentic in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, they're passionate. They're
passionate, and that's how
there's no agenda. They're just
That's how the punk guys are. They're
Absolutely.
pretty. They're real. They're just real people.
Yeah.
Some genres not so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Drew?
Well, I remember the few punk groups that I worked with before. They were always just super cool guys.
Yes.
The one, I forget their name, damn, but the bass player, like his mother like made like the most amazing ceviche that I've ever had. He just brought it to the studio for everybody. It was just insane,
That's
so
awesome.
good. Side note. But for me, kind of same thing with Yui. Like, I don't know a lot about this to really.
So that's
speak.
fine. I mean, we started and we were learning.
I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I was just say like that's so. Don't even that's fine.
But under the umbrella of electronic music, lo-fi.
That would be cool.
I love, like, I'm getting into it right now. I've always loved that, like, just chill, bass heavy. Sort of sound, and I'd love to. I'd put up with editing another podcast where two knuckleheads talk about lo-fi.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
watch out.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
getting
really
recruited.
Cool. Yep, exactly. We don't pay you enough, so you're looking for more work.
I will say
my resume.
You bring this up, and if there was, and yeah, there probably is, and I'd love to get some recommendation. But if there was a lo-fi podcast, I would listen to it.
Yeah.
Or if there was a punk podcast where they actually kind of dove deep into some stuff, I would, because I really respect when people can go into a niche like area and explain it well and have good opinions on it and actually like kind of dissect it. Like I really like I love that shit. I think it's so good. So when people can, say trading cards, when people can go deep into trading cards or deep into like collectible stuff, and it's usually really interesting to me. So I think
Talking Watches, man. Yeah.
I know, yeah, actually, exactly.
There you go. I want to make a lo-fi episode of the Grunge Bible where I just like take out the high end and just douse your voices in reverb.
Can we do this? I would be so down to do that.
Let's just do it for the next question. Just stick it in there.
We'll have like a lo-fi section, then we'll have like a prog rock section, then we'll have like a doomer section. It'll be great.
The other day, I was on my way to I was driving on my way to practice, and I actually pulled up some Under Oath. Do you guys ever listen to Under Oath? And I kind of went like, it was like pretty.
Familiar.
It was. Dude, it's a screamo band from back in the day, and dude, sometimes there's genres that I was into some pretty heavy stuff earlier, and I just kind of popped back in there. It's the first time in a while, and you get like, I don't know, man. There's so much music out there that like you don't always spend a lot of time with.
Oh, dude, you and I were into
some heavy stuff.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, like I spent a
Under
lot of
Oath.
time. Yeah, like I spent a lot of time with that music, and these people are yelling, and like the vocal cords. I remember like it was really big.
Yeah.
I don't know what the screamo scene is right now, but like it was really big our senior year. Like I remember there was a ton. Honestly there was like a lot of screamo and like Christian music, like in that area.
Yeah,
yeah, and there was just so like. There were so many kids in high school that had, they just had there was just really big screamo following, and it was awesome. And we went to shows. We were really into it, and I haven't listened to it in very much.
It's refreshing to come back to. It's just like
it is
just another expression of art. It's really cool. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I think honestly, and there's a question that we got that says, "What's the best memory you've made running this page?" But I guess kind of related to that. I just think being around music multiple times a day, like for this page, and just learning like through my friends and through this page, like I've learned to appreciate so many more kinds of music than I think otherwise would have been into. And like you two, especially, like you're always like, you guys have different tastes and you have, interests in other areas that I wasn't interested in. And like, I've grown my appreciation for just art in general so much more, I think, through this. So that's been such a really, really big takeaway that I'm grateful for, because it's fun. There's only so many grunge rock bands, and there's only so much music from 1991 that you can listen to. So it's cool.
One of my favorite memories, or continued memories, is just opening up a new session and just seeing, what roast am I going to get today?
Yeah, as time's gone on, we've become more and more brazen with them too.
Well, Well, Chris, I've been roasting Drew for 10 years now.
That's true. Yeah, this is old hat.
10 years? Yeah. You're smoking crack. More like close to
15,
17 years, maybe.
17 years.
How old are we?
The roast is almost old enough to buy nicotine.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
No, actually, they raised it to 21.
Oh,
did you know that?
No, sorry.
That's a crime.
I just
this was
terrible.
America. I thought this was America.
I was 9 when I met E, so I'm gonna be 28.
2 years down the road.
It's about 19 years. That's crazy. Yeah, but roasted him the first day I met him. Yeah, we'll keep it up though. Yeah.
Like 9-year-old Ethan saw Drew on like the playground. It was like, damn it, Drew, close down Ableton and get over here.
Would your computer crash again?
Would you download it before Sunday? We could see it,
Yeah, we transfer is such a snitch. They always tell us.
They snitch on Drew every time.
Yep.
I downloaded it
That's
immediately.
fantastic. We've talked about that. What do you have something to?
I was just gonna bring up my favorite memory as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to answer the question?
Yeah, please contribute. Yes, Mr. Shalloway down in front.
I mean, this is I don't know, pretty easy answer, I think, and would be the Taylor Hawkins tribute show. I feel like that was a kind of a culmination of the page in a big way, and it felt. I mean, honestly, the few times that we've gotten together in different cities, Chris, it has been like, I mean, that's the only reason that we did it in a way. Like the only reason we went to New York was because of this page. The only reason we went to Chicago, a little bit. Yeah. And so those type of those
the catalyst
events
for stuff.
Yeah, it's a catalyst, exactly. So going to LA and recording a podcast with everybody together in the same room, that was like, it just felt really cool. It was kind of a glimpse of what it could be. I was like, So that was that's easy answer. That's gonna be hard to beat. I'm excited to look back on that. It's kind of weird to think about, but like I wonder what I'm gonna think about in 25 years. I look back. And
because there's no chance that like we'll be far removed from this, and who's to say, whether any of us end up like working in an adjacent industry or whatever. But yeah, it's gonna be like a weird thing because I mean, as far as unless we take it down, like the podcast and the page, like we'll kind of just be out there, so it'll be weird, but it'll be cool. It'll be really cool to look back on. I mean, just like the shows that I've gone to out of like not obligation, but like running the page and like being like in that realm has kind of like kicked me along to go to some shows that I might not have gone to. I've met a lot of really cool people. We've connected with a lot of really awesome people too.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this online thing has resulted in so many positive in-person and real-world experiences, and like real-world friendships and interactions, which is really cool because I mean, also like the three of us, none of us live in the same area, and it's just like a cool. I mean, it's cool, but sometimes like probably for Drew because we're always sending him messy episodes, but it's just like a cool contact point. It's just one thing that we have to. A part of the recipe to like stay close to people, and it's a part of a friendship that I think we've all developed too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's cool to work on shit and we have goals for this thing that we're working towards too.
Absolutely. No, I was going to bring up the pure fact that we have like something to look back on. We have a catalog of it's gonna be 100 episodes by the new year or whatever, like or a couple of months after, and we have a page and we have a lot of thoughts written down, a lot of stuff, website and stuff. That stuff is really kind of cool. I mean, it's really just our notebooks and stuff to this time in life, which we talk about a lot. So yeah, it's rewarding. We gotta give it props at time. And maybe it's annoying at times, but it is cool.
Yeah, and like the funny thing too is like because we're around it all the time, I don't really. Day to day, I don't feel like it's that cool. But like if one of my friends or something finds out about it, like they're always like, "Oh, like that's really cool." I'm like, it's not really. They're like, no, like it's actually like pretty cool that you do that. And so yeah, at the end of the day, it is really cool, and I'm lucky that it's us doing it as opposed to somebody else.
And what's really cool too when people say I have a podcast, and you go, "Oh, you have a podcast."
Yeah, everybody has a podcast.
But then you say you have 88 episodes or whatever, 85 episodes. Then they're like, "Oh, you actually followed through with it, and it's not just
anybody can do 7 episodes."
Yep. So
and you see that too. People are like every single week for 2 months, and the next thing you know, 3 weeks go by, and then there's another one. Then 2 months go by.
Could expose some people right now. No,
exactly. Let's do it. Hell yeah. Yeah, that was
Drew.
That was a good question.
Just kidding.
Drew, this question for you. I mean, it's for all of us, obviously, but I do want to hear your opinion because you are the house guitarist. I mean, Chris, you play guitar as well.
I don't play guitar. No.
But
Drew's a guitarist.
But I would, Drew probably. I mean, we can get into some of your influences here too. But what do you think is the most underappreciated guitarist of the '90s? Is what they said. So.
Of the 90s.
I was to say, so it's within a decade, but if you have to go outside of that, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a guitarist that doesn't get enough love.
Mark Tremonti, Creed.
Yes, 100%, 100,000%, absolutely.
Break it down for us. Break it down.
Okay, number one, stupid incredible guitar player, really really interesting style.
Like technically,
funnily enough, excuse me.
Like technically good.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, the dude can shred. He can play beautiful finger picking. I mean, just listen to what's his other band? So it was Creed, and then he had Alter Bridge. Yeah. Just a really really sound guitar player that can play for the song, but then can also just dominate it and shred your face off in a way that's still very musical and pleasing, you know. But his style influenced me very much because, well, my dad loved Creed and influenced me, and I loved Creed.
Yeah, Bill.
We all do.
But he was a solo guitar player for the band for the majority of their career. So naturally, he had his style is like very open to sound bigger because it's just one guitar,
right? Because it's lead and rhythm.
Yeah, so he's got to fill that whole mid section, the mid range for the band, you know. So he plays like really weird chords, like just open, and that influenced me because for the majority of my start of my band career with Ethan, you know, starting when we were 7th grade or whatever, it was just me as the guitar player. So I was like, I'll just try to do what he does, just try to find these weird chords that I can play all 6 strings. Still the same chord, but it just sounds bigger, you know.
You fill the room with the sound there, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say him. I have more to say. What's his name? God damn it. Rush's guitar player. So underappreciated.
I'm blanking on it too.
Come on.
See, this is where if we have our producer in our ear to chime in and tell us to make up for the fact
he was at the show.
Alex Leifson.
He at the show? Maybe he was at the show. Yeah, Alex
he was there. Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about him.
It's because the bass and the drums are so good. But you're right. He's a part of a band that is instrumentally, you know, very highly regarded by pretty much everybody in the industry.
I think that's the one commonality out of anyone that we're going to mention here is there is a component of the band that they're in that gets the majority of the discussion.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, like, I think Billy Corgan as a guitarist is incredibly underrated.
It's a great answer.
Because everybody's talking about
100%.
I think his vocals and the lyrics, but also just like, I think when people talk about the Pumpkins, their music, they talk about like the sound as a whole. And the driver of that, I mean, Billy is a remarkable guitarist, and you know, the writing that he was able to do for, you know, the music that he put together is really, really incredible. And I always have such an appreciation, and I'm always impressed by, you know, people that can sing and play those intricate parts and those very, very polished parts simultaneously, and to master that, both of those crafts, and to package it and to perform it, you know, 4 or 5 nights a week for 20 years. I think it's always really, really impressive.
1991, I think their first album came out.
Yes, yeah.
Billy Joe Armstrong.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Very underrated guitar player.
Yep.
Billy Joe is.
If you could,
1,039 smooth out slappy hours or whatever.
I think it was 91. I think it was 91.
So good.
Damn.
Yeah. If you can make, you know, 200 songs with just power chords, you're incredible.
And a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
Like you were saying. How hard is it to play both rhythm and lead, or to kind of like be the solo guitarist, like only guitarist? Like, does it depend on the rest of the band? Like, they need to be really top notch.
Depends on the genre too.
Right? Yeah.
Depends on the genre. Depends on the rest of the band. Like, you definitely need a solid bass player to help you out, and drums, because, like, you know, playing the right cymbal at the right time makes it sound a lot bigger or a lot smaller when it needs to be. and then again, just the nature of the guitar parts too is a thing, right? So like Green Day could get away with it because he's not really playing too much, you know, individual notes. You know what I mean? At one time. So yeah, just depends on the kind of the music.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think not related to the 90s, obviously, but I think everybody, similar person like that, everybody always talks about what a magnificent, and rightfully so, magnificent lead player Jimi Hendrix was, but the fact that he was, you know, lead and rhythm and just like seamlessly moving back and forth between his lead and his rhythm parts in a 3-piece band, I almost find some of his rhythm parts to be even more impressive. But not only that, the way you're able to weave both of those together in a way that, you know, if you didn't know the band, you would just assume that there's somebody else playing lead. And, you know, when like the solo to Wind Cries Mary comes on, you're like, all right, here comes Jimmy. But no, it was him the whole time.
And what he did was like pretty pioneerish.
Yes, absolutely.
But what I'm saying is what he did that pioneered was the use of guitar pedals.
Yeah.
So he, like, if you listen to his songs, when he goes into a more like solo-y sort of thing, and it's still just one guitar, there's a new pedal that's engaged that like makes the sound change, usually bigger, to compensate for the lack of the bass strings on the guitar being played.
And wouldn't he would frequently toggle back and forth between the pickups that he was even using for different parts of the song too, I think, right?
Yep. That doesn't have as much of an influence on the
for sure
the size of the sound. But I mean, like if you listen to like B.B. King, insane guitar player, but it's, you know, it's generally speaking like he's not using any. He's not.
Yeah, it's the same sound, right?
You know what I mean? So Jimmy was like at least the first, you know, notable, more famous guy who sort of started doing that. You know, which
is kind of like a whole different thing. Of all of it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Ethan, are there any people that come to mind for you?
Kurt Cobain. No, just kidding. I mean,
underrated. He's great.
Probably underrated. I do like the point that you brought up. Like, I feel like, I mean, singing and drumming is really difficult. Like, the people that did that is incredible, and I think
that might be the most impressive. Yeah, that's next level.
Right. I believe singing and playing guitar is such a beautiful. I love frontmen that do both for like the majority. So, you know, Billy Joe. That's a great person to bring up. So no, I don't have anybody like that really jumped out that I can think of right now. So those answers were great. I mean, it's good, solid points.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath, underrated in my opinion.
For sure.
Another solo guitar player in the band.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Did I get his name right?
I believe you did.
Christ.
Ethan,
what's the next question?
While we ascertain that, Ethan, do you have a Shalloway original, another question, or we want to go to the
Yeah, well, just when you were talking, you brought up the Pumpkins as a sound. And I think it's very true. The Pumpkins they occupy this space where people recognize them as fulfilling they're not really grunge, and I guess they are alternative, but they have this very, you know, atmospheric is how we like to say it, and galactic I think is the word we used, and and you know, what other bands kind of fill that space? Or I guess, you know, an easier question would be, what other bands, when you hear them, you know undoubtedly who they are, and like they have, you know, that space. My example would be, and the band that they obviously fit in genres, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers are so distinct in a lot of ways, and you know, they're a funny band, but they're legends. I mean, they're really impactful, and they have this sound that they developed that is so unique and it is so them, and you know, they have like, yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers is like, you can just say like that's, you know, that's the sound. It's the Chili Peppers.
Even like their new stuff is still, you know, a direct descendant of the music that they were putting out, and I think that's a testament to what you're saying. It's like you can listen to the first 20 seconds of the stuff that they put out on the last album that they did. Was it Unlimited Love, or I forget the name of the record. But
unless they release another one.
No, they got another one coming.
They might.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like, yep, this is the Chili Peppers. Like, you know what you're getting, and you know just based off of what that sound is. Yeah, I think that's a really good example. One for me that like pops out. My Bloody Valentine. I listen to them, and you immediately kind of know what they're about. Another band I would say is the Brian Jonestown Massacre. I got really into them earlier this year. That's another one. Maybe it's just a function of me having listened to them a lot over the last like 6 to 10 months, but you can kind of listen and immediately you kind of know who it is, and it sounds like them, and they've kind of carved out that unique space for themselves.
Yeah, I think Radiohead is another great example. They have this like Radiohead is like it's a Radiohead. Like, you bring it up and people are like, you love them or you love them or you hate them, but that's not even really it. It's just like they have this. They are Radiohead. And that's the best way to put them.
Yep.
The lead singer and the lead singer of Radiohead and Hans Zimmer, the composer.
Yep.
They composed together the soundtrack to like one of an oceanic documentary.
Really?
And Vox did a piece on it and was explaining like some of the musical techniques they used. Singer of Radiohead, I don't know his name if one of you guys do, but you'd
York,
recognize
right?
his face.
York.
I don't know, but he really high level musician though, really high level. Obviously, if you're at a level of success like that, but
yeah, and they definitely pushed a lot of boundaries too within what was going on at the time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't always.
So it's like, yeah.
Well, I would say it wasn't always. I don't know. You get a lot of differing opinions on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you sure do.
Are we still on the galactic sound question? Do I have to answer that?
We can be. Would you like to answer it?
No, let's move on.
You got the producer's option. It's too long.
Oh, I just had another question. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I have one that I'd like to ask. And this comes from a very faithful and passionate follower of ours, the Johnny Vinyl. Always in the comment section with bringing a lot of value to whatever topic that the post is about. But the question is, who is one artist that you found so late that you were kicking yourself? Presumably, you're like, damn it, like I dropped the ball not finding out about them soon enough or sooner. So is there anybody that comes to mind, like you discover them and you're like, shit, like they've been active for X number of years and I'm just now finding them?
Yeah, that's a good one. I guess there's two ways. Because a lot of the bands that maybe we're talking about, we were just too young to really get in there.
So like through no fault of our own, we missed the boat.
Yeah. So if we're doing like more current bands or more stuff that maybe is going on, I'm trying to think. I don't know.
For me, if it's too young, it would be like the Ramones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I would have loved
to be a part of that.
To be anticipating.
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah. And it's no surprise. It's like the Ramones, for example, they influence just about everybody in the next generation after them because, like you were saying, like the people that were influenced by them, they were the kids and the teenagers who were standing in line waiting for the new Ramones record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I guess let's flip the question. And what band are you proud of that you were a part of their kind of journey? And I feel like, honestly, the Front Bottoms. I was going to say the Dirty Heads. Dirty Heads was a band that we got into, and like we saw some shows.
First album,
and those guys played some of the best live shows I've ever been a part of, for sure. Those guys rocked every night. They played so good. Their drummer was fantastic. They had two singers, both rapped, sang. I mean, they were like and their albums were. They had like 4 or 5 albums in a row that were just so good and
killer.
And we were a part of it. And like now, it kind of, they're going into a stage where they're slowing down and they're producing stuff that is not the same as the old stuff. And it's not bad, but it's, all of a sudden we're reminiscing on the back. So I'm like, they're just one of those bands that have such a special place in my heart. And same with the Front Bottoms. Like, now that I've seen them a few times recently, like, I'm like, damn, I'm so happy that I saw them when I did, because they mean so much because of it. And they really were like hitting it hard back, 2014, and it was so big. So I would say, if we had to flip the question, because I've actually recently thought about that to myself. I was like, man, I'm happy that I was there during that time, for even if they're not, massive. The Dirty Heads isn't like, massive.
Mm-hmm. What is that phenomenon? So it's like, I'm gonna compare it to Creed really quick, just for just because it's apt for me personally.
Yeah.
So my dad was the one who introduced to me. He not necessarily grew up with them, but like, was a young adult first. The album My Own Prison, Human Clay, he's a young parent, and then Weathered, right? And like, he loved all three of those. I grew up with those, came out, before me, and then when I was an infant, so I, discovered them later. And then they did that Full Circle reunion album, and I was so stoked to be like anticipating like a Creed out.
It's like you finally got your chance at the real thing, like in real time.
And then, Dad's in a different state of life, listens to it, and he's just like, it's just not the same, just isn't a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are talking about that now with the Dirty Heads, because I'd second that with Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Discovered them same time, very like impressionable stage of your life.
Right. That's what it comes down to.
I think that's the common denominator.
It's timing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like whoever you were lucky enough to be shown by a friend before they were super big at that impressionable point in your life. I mean, I think that becomes the band. But it's interesting. It's like there's a lot of bands. Well, even like what you were saying, Drew, with your father, it's like Full Circle comes out and he's like, oh, like this isn't like what it was. I think a lot of 21 Pilots fans feel that way kind of about their newer stuff. It's like you missed out. I think
that fits right in the category for us.
I was gonna say, because I know you've been big fans of theirs, or back during the early stages, and even I think one band that might get there eventually, like the 1975. I mean, they've been around for a while. They put a lot of music out, and I think their audience is certainly continuing to grow. But I think and a lot of this too is just a function of bands that have been around for 8, 10 plus years that you can't even really have that conversation unless they've had some wear on them and some miles. Because I think for the original question, like which band are you kicking yourself? For me, just lately, I saw them last month with you, Ethan, the Front Bottoms. I didn't really get into them until like a year or two ago.
And I was thinking about that too.
I missed the debut album. I missed Talon of the Hawk.
I know. I was thinking about that.
Yeah. So that would certainly be my answer. But yeah, it's like this weird formula that creates the perfect conditions to either be impressionable enough that you're impacted by the first couple of albums from a band, or you're impressionable enough, or you connect with something enough after the fact that you're like, damn, I really wish I was aware of this when it happened.
Yeah. I do love that question too. It's like, what bands right now are going to be that way for people? And then 1975, that's a great answer. I think that, I'm hoping, Petey, dude, we love.
I was gonna say, Petey, we're in.
We are in at the ground floor, and I feel like
early adopters.
And he is such I hope that he has a beautiful career that we can look back and be like, dude, we were there when it happened, because he is fantastic.
I'm seeing him in Boston a week from tomorrow.
That's great. And you're seeing Kurt Vile tomorrow.
I am seeing Kurt Vile tomorrow. Yeah.
I was gonna say Kurt. He was one of the first ones I was thinking for this, because he's like 40 something.
Well, there's like a big element of that going on now too with, I think, indie rock, and like I think indie rock has gotten a larger foothold the last couple of years. I think particularly a lot of like the women in indie rock, like the Phoebe Bridgerses and the Lucy Dacus's of the world that now are playing to bigger and bigger audiences, and they have a larger fan base that, you know, if you're around for the first couple of EPs or whatever, you kind of might have that badge of honor with you.
But at the same time, indie rock, like I feel like Kurt Weill, like you kind of have a longer lifespan as far like they release the indie genre can release albums as they're older, and it really fits that age too, like of song creation. So like you know, Blink 182, you know, the punk scene is, you know, that type of stuff it's a smaller thing.
How'd you like their new song?
It was pretty good. I mean, it was,
I think it's what you would expect, right?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I'm interested in the album, of course. I'm intrigued, but I don't have like super high expectations.
That reunion tour that they're doing is going to be such a big money printing machine for them. It's unbelievable. I mean, they've already signed on to some of the biggest tours for next year, and I mean, they're just printing money at this point.
Yeah, Drew, I looked up the tickets to the one in Nashville, and it was like $290 for the cheapest to a Blink show. Yeah,
what?
I know, and I'm like, dude, like, come on, there's no, like, they don't do anything like, it's not gonna be like U2 where they put on this beautiful, like, you know, four panel display of horses running across the whole stadium behind. You know what I mean? It's not going to be this production. It's going to be Mark Hoppus, Tom DeLonge, and Travis Barker, and it's going to be awesome.
What's changed? One of them got married to a Kardashian. That's it.
Right.
And started producing songs for MGK and everybody else.
Right, yeah. Travis Barker is featured on every single song that's come out over the last 3 years.
Since we are talking about this, I actually have an answer and then another question that is really similar, of course.
We're rolling now.
Yeah, we're going. But and we were right on the edge. We kind of hit the perfect spot for Weezer, because Weezer was phenomenal back in the day. Really good. I mean, they're still good now. They're still doing their thing, but man, it would have been I mean, we grew up, you know, we played Say It Ain't So at all the shows. We played, you know, Pork and Beans, and there's a lot of songs that we loved.
Hash Pipe.
I mean, and their songs are so, you know, funny and good. They're clever, and they fit that clever kind of music, and it would have been really cool to be, you know, so maybe go to a show and be a little bit more involved earlier in their years, but. Anyway, so what in this kind of, I was kind of building off the Ramones point. What band would you want to be like a really big fan of back in the day and be a part of that following? Like, did you really wish that maybe you were, you know, a Deadhead during the time, or really wish that you were like, you've seen 5 Zeppelin shows, and you can say any band here. Like, is there a band that you're like, man, it would have been really cool to be a part of, like the Chicago fanhood or something like that?
The Police.
The Police. That's a great answer.
That'd be great.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, just discovering Stuart Copeland as everybody else discovers that he's just like one of the best drummers that's ever lived.
Before he became the legend.
Yeah, like that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
It spawns another question, like, who are the legends now that are going to be, our posterity is going to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like who are the guest players at a tribute concert for somebody in 2040 going to be?
Oh man, that's good. I think Post Malone. I think Post Malone could really be that.
Post Malone's cool.
He's really I think cool. Post Malone has just an endless like landscape for him to kind of work with moving forward. He's really set himself up well. So it'll be interesting to see what the rest of his career looks like and how he handles it. But yeah, that, you know, is what other band?
I mean, it's not too many bands. You know?
I know the band is.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think to answer the question of like which band could you have, like, if you wish you could have been a part of. I mean, honestly, Yeah, Alan Wilson and Bob
but
Pike.
Seriously, right?
No, honestly,
Seriously.
you're right. Exactly. I mean, that was such just like a embarrassment of riches, the late '60s, in terms of bands that you wished you could have been a part of.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, they played relentless touring schedules too, so they were everywhere all the time. But honestly, I mean,
crazy.
Kind of goes without saying. But like, if I could have been like a Soundgarden fan and like the late '80s and anticipated Bad Motorfinger when it came out and caught a couple of the smaller shows they played, or same goes for Pearl Jam, obviously. I think as much as the genre and those bands have given me, 15, 20, 30 years after the fact, I mean, to be able to have that experience, it makes sense why we'll post a random video of a random Soundgarden song and we'll get a 3-paragraph comment from somebody that was there.
Who am I going to be commenting about in 40 years?
Exactly.
I remember seeing Brian back at the Boulder Theater.
You're going to be commenting on Front Bottom's Bible in 2040.
Yeah, and he never played the trumpet, but
his pants fell off and he kept playing.
It's kind of like, one sec. Yeah, I'll answer it. But I would say it's kind of like when a big sports team, like, say, like when the Phillies first got Bryce Harper, and it's like, and now he's kind of living out, like, he's having a really good postseason, and who knows, his legend could be as a Philly, versus a National or something like that. So Same thing, like if you were a part of Pearl Jam, it's like, oh, we got Eddie Vedder. Like, what does that mean for the band? And you have no idea. And then all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, you're like, that's the best thing that we could have did. Yeah, I mean, I think that like Canned Heat or maybe something from the 60s would have been really cool to I mean, I hate to say it.
Would be cool. Yeah.
I hate to say this because we've been on camera for saying not so nice things about it, but the Beatles. Kind of growing up with the Beatles and being a part of that.
To tune into Ed Sullivan that night.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's something that I'll never understand, and it would be kind of cool to see how the influence played out throughout the years, because they're very documented. I mean, Dave Grohl. Everybody brings them up as influences, so. It would have been cool. It would have been cool to be a part of that and be like a huge Beatles fan. Maybe it's kind of lame to say that, but it's true.
It's a cliche because it's true.
Yeah.
One other musician that comes to mind as well. If I could have discovered Neil Young through the Buffalo Springfield in '68, and then been along for the ride. As he, went in Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and his solo career, and just the variety of sounds that he put out, and that he's still putting out, with his solo stuff. That's some of the great singer-songwriter folk that we've ever been able to listen to, as well as, that's the same person who went into the studio with Crazy Horse and, basically made proto grunge in the '70s with, Rust and everything. And, all of those songs, Cortez the Killer. I think that would have been a really cool ride to have been along, to have had a ticket for, throughout the last 50 years. That's somebody else who comes to mind for sure.
All those like super individuals, like Frank Sinatra would have been cool to kind of discover along with everybody else.
That would have been really cool.
MJ, honestly, seeing him from Jackson 5 to what he became, that would have been kind of interesting too.
Absolutely.
But cool.
Especially anybody with like a big character arch like that is quite impressive and would be really cool to experience. And we are experiencing that with people right now. It's just sometimes it's hard to realize or hard to see.
Well, it's hard to have that perspective too, because if you're at the time, you're like, what the fuck? Like Neil Young's playing folk music now. Like, where's Crazy Horse? Like, what the fuck is this Harvest Moon? Like, I want him to get Crazy Horse on here and melt my face off with some sludgy shit. I think I wonder what that would have been like, how you'd receive that in the moment, because now we have the perspective of hindsight, so you can always appreciate the arc, but it's hard to know where the arc's going when it's currently happening in front of you. But that's probably my favorite question of the night, because I mean we've just done like 10 minutes on it.
Yeah,
so.
maybe more. We popped around. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. That's a 9.
Yeah, that's a 9. Yeah, we don't give out 10s, so
It's an 8-9.
Nothing's perfect.
That was a 9.1. Except this podcast. This podcast is perfect.
And if you're feeling like rating something just like us,
oh, look at this seamless segue for self-promotion.
You can hop onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review.
Send us an email and tell us how much you love us.
You can send us an email, give us your best words, and because that goes a long way. That means a lot. We're carrying good ratings on both platforms, so we hope to keep it that way. Because it does help the algorithm, helps us get out. Share, please, because obviously that helps. And because the numbers are growing, we're doing good. It's a slow. We're doing this the same way we did the page, man. We're just doing it. We're not
doing it.
We're just putting our head down and doing it, and we're getting where we want to go slowly but surely. So
that's how it is, man.
That's how it goes. So continue listening. If you're listening right now, I mean, we're like 75 minutes in, so we're crushing it. And I'm happy you guys listen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's good. People are starting off their week with this. I love that it's on Monday. I can't believe we did it on Friday for so long.
Yeah, it was dumb as shit. Whoever had whatever two idiots had the idea to do that were some real numbskulls.
Yeah, we did that for so long. It was like,
yeah, and for like the 2 idiots that came up with the idea, and for the other idiot that didn't tell them at the time that it was a bad idea. Yeah, we were all
so many times we're getting him shit, and it's during the week he has to produce it, and it's like, wait a minute, if we just flip this, we'll be in a much better spot.
Yeah, you get to go to sleep and you get the next night.
Yeah,
very important. Do we have any other questions, or we feel like this is a good organic point to segue?
Yeah, are we doing song of the week or no?
I got one more question.
All right.
That's
the last question better be a good one.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. I was gonna say this is gonna be the first question, but it didn't make any sense because it wasn't music related. But anybody have a worst date story? An absolute just terrible date. It could be for whatever reason.
Yeah, Drew.
I know Drew's got one.
Yeah, Drew's definitely got one.
That's a dude. I forget who I was talking to about this just recently, but funnily enough, man, I don't.
Drew doesn't miss. He does not miss. Wow, I love that.
A lot of people are liars,
Yeah, good for you, Drew. I like that a lot.
I haven't had a train wreck. I don't think I've had like a serious train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as far as first dates, I've had dates or I've had like nights that I haven't really.
Everybody's got those.
I haven't put my best foot forward. Maybe.
Right. But we've all been there. I mean, it's hard. You can't bat 1,000 every season. It's hard.
Left shoe was on the right foot.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Chris, do you have anything else?
Oh no! See, this is so anticlimactic because I don't have any complete and utter train wrecks unless I lie, but I can't lie. Even though I do lie a lot on this show.
Now you can't.
I don't know. Like, there's like a couple of them that come to mind. Like, one of them. I mean, it was high school, so I don't really know that it counts. But like, I had gone on a few dates with this girl, and like the dates were all good, right? And I took the leap of faith to ask this young lady to, I think it was like the winter ball. So like it was like a semi-formal, it was something, one of those fucking things that you go to when you're in high school.
Harvest ball.
Yeah. So like you get dressed up and everything. And like, it was like myself, my buddy, Sean Kelly, and then these 2 girls, and Sean and his date, they ended up dating for a while. Like they had a great time. And then like I took this other girl, and like we had gone on a couple dates and it was fine, but I took her to this thing, and like she just like paid no mind to me the whole night. So it was just like it was nothing super crazy. Like it was just like one of those things. Like why the fuck? Like why did we go to this? Like you're not talking to me.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, like what are we doing here? And then you're just like you're just biding your time, waiting for it to be over. Another one that comes to mind. This was earlier this year, like in the springtime. I went. I went on a few dates. Like I saw this person for like a month or so, and like I wasn't really.
You knew.
Yeah, you knew, and like we went out. And this was in Boston. They lived in Boston, and we went out one night, and we were at this place in Brighton, Massachusetts. And I found out that night, like while the date was going on, that like literally right around the corner at this concert venue, Joyce Manor was playing, and I really liked them. And I was the whole night I was just thinking, I was like, fuck, like I'm sitting here like paying for like $18 drinks, for somebody that I'm not particularly smitten over. Whereas, two drinks for us could have gotten me into Joyce Manor and saved me the trouble. And, after that, I was like, all right, I gotta, wash my hands of this situation. But luckily, I haven't had any reprehensible experiences. So kind of anticlimactic, but I guess none of us have any war stories.
Wonder if the same could be said about us.
I know, right? There's probably hopefully there's people out there that we probably that would be good though, like to have like to be known in the circle as like oh like that was the date, like that was the night that like something happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the tough thing is I guess you kind of always tie it to like first dates, like we went, it was just a train wreck because I'm sure there's other nights out that I've went out and I've been maybe a little bit too much or something.
Oh yeah,
with the group of guys. Because I can be a rogue.
I almost lost one of my relationships because I was on the giving end of a situation like that once. Yep. So I mean, it would have saved me the trouble if I had lost it at that point. Would have saved a lot of aggravation. But you grow from those situations, and you can use them to as subject matter for a podcast years after the fact.
Yep. Or songwriting or a book.
Let's write a book. Yeah, I'll use anything for content. I'll sell anything out.
All right. Good question. So if anybody else has anything, say it now. But if not, we're going to move to songs of the week.
I have no objections, Your Honor.
No objections? Awesome. So this is the part of the podcast where we usually thank our producer, Drew. So Drew, thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Fuck you.
Thank you for being on tonight. Fuck you. But thank you for being on tonight. I want to have you. We want to have you on more because we think you got a good voice, and it's more fun to have, another personality. Like I'm really enjoying the interviews and stuff, and this is like a really casual interview. So
this is the third podcast episode in a row that we've recorded.
3 days in a row. Well, yeah, 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Hey, that's 750. That's good. That's good batting average.
We're crushing it.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, fellas. Thank you very much.
No problem. And patrons, thank you, Patreon. Cullen, shout out Cullen. Probably going to say that I messed that up, but you guys are awesome too. And honestly, anybody that's listening. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep it simple. If you want to give, please give. Okay. Songs of the week. Who wants to go first? Who has something that they are dying to share?
Oh, Christ.
Sounds like no one.
I can.
Go ahead.
I'll go first if nobody else is stepping up to the plate.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Chris.
All right. Well, I was going to use "Brother the Cloud" by Eddie Vedder, but I already talked about that, so it got demoted. I'm not really super duper fired up about anything musically right now, but the song that I've listened to the most the last couple of weeks is from a band called Moose Blood. They were like a punk rock band from the United Kingdom, I think, and they have a song called Cherry, and it's not at all a punk song. It's very, very like subdued, like just like guitar, and it's super sad, but I've been listening to it a lot, so I'll put that as my song of the week. It's really good. It's just kind of like one of those like existential songs where you reevaluate every decision you've ever made in your life. And you're like, how did I get here? Why do I have these responsibilities? And like, if I get out of them, do I lose everything? So that's my song of the week.
Man, if the roles were reversed. Go ahead.
So my song, I have a song and I have an album of the week. I'm gonna throw a little humdinger in there. Song of the
liberties.
Week. Yeah. Song of the week is "All I Need" by Jacob Collier, Mahalia, and Ty Dolla $ign. Jacob Collier is multiple Grammy Award winner. Excuse me, multiple Grammy Award winner, musical genius. If you don't know him, look him up. You should. His YouTube content is riveting. And this is his very subdued musical talent genius take on a pop song. And it's really, 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 really good. Definitely check it out. Album of the week is Chainsmokers. So Far So Good, lo-fi remixes.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, this ties it all together. I like that.
Full circle.
Full circle. Everything is full circle. I'm going to walk away in silence.
Nice. I love that song.
Hell yeah. That was my favorite song off of Full Circle.
Yeah, dude. That song's so good.
That's great.
But yeah, lo-fi remix is really good. If you don't know, you should know. So that's for
now. I know. Thank you.
Yes.
Good shit. All right.
All right.
Ethan. And my song of the week is going to be from Kids See Ghosts. Now, have either of you ever heard of this group? Yeah, this is a collaboration. It's a duo project between Kanye West and Kid Cudi. Back in 2018.
I love Kid Cudi.
It's like 5 or 6 songs, like 23 minutes. But the song is free. Ghost Town 2 Part 2 or Ghost Town Part 2. And it kind of has some Donda vibes, like it was pre-Donda, and it's just really, I mean we loved Kid Cudi, listened to him in high school. He was pretty big, and Kanye, I like his beats. I kind of like his style of music at times. So this is a really cool project, the two of them together. The album is really fun. It's pretty fun to kind of bump in the car. So I was listening to it earlier this week a few times. So yeah, it's a pretty fun project to listen to. It's just, like I said, it's like 25 minutes of music they produced together, because they collaborated with each other over the years, but they finally got in the studio back in 2018 and did this. So I'm going to use that as my song of the week.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Rock and roll.
Yes, sir.
Good. So we have 3 songs of the week and an album of the week.
I can't wait to do album of the year.
Oh my God, it's gonna be a big moment.
Shout out to our singer in the band, Sam Culp, back in the day, because he actually, come around New Year's, he would always post a list of his top albums that came out in the past year, and they were always, just really solid. It was just like it's just a good reflection. It's a good exercise, and I've been like, he did. I maybe did it first like COVID year, the first time I saw it, and we just write it on Notepad and post on Instagram. So he always was really solid. I want to have him on sometime too, man.
That'd be fun. I have a friend who does that same thing. Like as albums come out, he just like keeps a running tab in like the Notes app and just adds them and tiers them, and then at the end of the year he shares them. I always really, really like that. He's always the guy that I go to, and if something comes out, he lets me know, which is great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sam Culp in a different sense, getting married next weekend too.
Oh my goodness! Congrats to Sam.
Next weekend, huh? Wow,
that's big.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Thank you, Drew, for coming on and for putting up with us.
It's been a good time. Beers are drank. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
If you like the podcast, listen next week. And if you didn't, listen next week. Cheers. Rock and roll. Have a great week, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
This is a regular episode, baby.
Yep.
We just have our producer. Yeah, Drew. Drew. So you're actually not a part of this episode. We were just here for editorial stuff.
Yes.
So then you can give us feedback right away live, like they do. Like, did you get that, Drew? Like, yeah, you guys are good. So you're just here for audience purposes.
Yeah.
So please don't speak.
Please keep the commentary to a minimum.
Shut the fuck up.
Please do not open your mouth.
All right, guys. Did everybody have a drink?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Are they open? Should we crack them at the same time?
No, mine's already open.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to crack.